Today, several Amazon services down, affecting thousands of its customers, including some big names. The self-proclaimed founder of Bitcoin wins an important court case, but does that mean he is the founder of the cryptocurrency? And Tesla boss Elon Musk weighs in on President Biden's social spending bill. What concern does he have about the bill, and does it look like it will make it to Biden's desk before Christmas? That and much more coming up on NTD Business. Good evening and welcome to NTD Business. I'm Evelyn Lee, in for Paul. Breaking news just now, the White House's nominee for controller of the currency, a top bank regulatory position, has withdrawn her name. Sol Omarova has proven a contentious pick. She faced strong opposition because of works she's written, including a thesis on Marxism. President Biden picked her for the position, citing her expertise in financial regulation and as a leading academic in the field. And several Amazon services were down this morning for thousands of users in the United States because of problems with its web services, or AWS. Down detectors showed that more than 28,000 issues were reported, including for Amazon's Ring security cameras and mobile banking app Chime. Other services like Disney+, Netflix, and Roku were also affected. AWS supports huge sections of the web, and outages can result in dozens of services being down. Amazon says it's likely due to issues related to its application programming interface, or API. Instagram is rolling out new safety features today for teenagers. They include more parental controls and limits on mentioning or tagging teens by other users. It also has a new tool called Take a Break. It makes it easier for people, especially teens, to spend less time on the platform. The tool includes an alert that you can turn on after using the app for a certain amount of time. Instagram says it will also take a stricter approach to what content it recommends to teens. The new tools come after reports that its parent company knew about Instagram's harmful impact on children. It also comes a day before Instagram's CEO faces questions from lawmakers over its child safety practices. And Samsung Electronics says it will merge its mobile and consumer electronics divisions. It also named new co-CEOs in its biggest reshuffle since 2017. Flora Bradley Watson reports.
Samsung has announced its biggest shake-up since 2017. The South Korean conglomerate unveiled plans on Tuesday to merge its mobile and consumer electronics divisions. It also named new co-CEOs, with Hwang Jung-hee promoted to vice chairman and co-CEO of the newly merged division. The sweeping moves are the latest sign of centralized change at Samsung, after vice chairman J.Y. Lee was paroled in August from a bribery conviction. Samsung is looking to simplify its structure and grow its logic chip business, as it sets its sights on overtaking TSMC to become the #1 chip contract manufacturer by 2030. Late last month, Samsung chose Taylor in Texas as the site of a planned $17 billion US chip plant after months of deliberation. The decision coincided with Lee's first business trip to the United States in 5 years. Samsung plans to spend $206 billion over the next 3 years on areas such as semiconductors, artificial intelligence, robotics, and biopharmaceuticals.
The CEO of American Airlines is stepping down today. Today, Doug Parker announced he will retire as CEO in March. Parker, who is 60 years old, will stay as chairman of American Airlines. As CEO, he navigated American Airlines through the aftermath of 9/11 and the arrival of the CCP virus pandemic. He also was the architect of a series of key mergers that reshaped the industry. The company has struggled with service problems this year as it tried to respond to passenger demand for travel. Parker says the top job will go to Robert Isom, who is currently the company's president. If you're thinking about investing in or buying a Toyota, you should pay attention to this. The company just announced it's happy to use scratched or flawed parts because of supply chain problems. It'll now accept parts it would have thrown away in the past. Toyota's chief project leader said there are plenty of places that people don't notice unless they really take a good look, and they're careful about the parts you can easily see. The company will not accept flaws that affect safety or performance. Toyota's embrace of parts it would have thrown away in the past is notable because of its reputation for perfection and strict quality standards. And Vietnamese automaker VinFast isn't big in the global automobile space, but an expert tells us it has potential. It's growing fast and planning to go public in the United States. NTD's Chen Yun reports.
Vietnam's first and biggest automaker, VinFast, plans to have an IPO in the United States. It expects a valuation of around $60 billion, which would make it the 13th biggest automaker by market cap, ahead of Stellantis, NIO, and Honda.
It certainly has the capacity to be a major player. Remember, this is Vietnam's largest conglomerate, and they're setting up an IPO for a listing on the New York Stock Exchange. So this really signals their intent to be a worldwide global force in automaking.
Larry Prince is an executive editor at the Detroit Bureau. Prince says many Asian automakers use the U.S. and Europe as a springboard for the global market.
I have no doubt that they'll be every bit as successful as Hyundai, Kia, Toyota, Nissan. I can keep naming them. What VinFast has done, which I think is really incredible, is that they've gone to people who've already been in the business. They've used BMW for their engineering. They've used Pininfarina for their styling. They took over a General Motors plant, and they're building what's known in the U.S. as the Chevy Spark under license there for the Vietnam market. So they know what they don't know, and they hire the best people to do it. So they're learning very, very quickly.
VinFast says it wants to increase 2022 world sales to 42,000 units, 180% higher than its prior goal of 15,000. Chen Yun, NTD News.
And Kellogg's says it will permanently replace employees who are on strike. That's after a majority of its cereal plant workers in the U.S. rejected a new contract. That now extends the strike that started more than 2 months ago. The company says no more bargaining is scheduled, and the union had unrealistic expectations, causing none of its 6 offers to work out. Kellogg's is one of several firms facing worker strikes recently. While Kellogg's wants to replace some of its workers, Tyson Foods is trying hard to retain them ahead of the holidays. It says it's going to pay out $50 million in year-end bonuses to frontline and hourly meatpacking employees. 86,000 Tyson employees in the United States will be eligible for the one-time bonuses, which range from $300 to $700. On top of pay increases and signing bonuses, the company now offers more flexible work schedules. It has also opened several health centers to give frontline employees and their families easier access to health care at no cost. And on top of that, the company plans to offer paid sick leave starting in January. Tesla CEO Elon Musk was asked about President Biden's spending bill. Musk views the bill unfavorably, saying he's concerned about how much the U.S. is spending. And if it were a company, it'd be running at a major loss. Here's NTD's Jessica Beatty with more.
Tesla boss Elon Musk expressed concern Monday about President Biden's social spending bill. A reporter asked him about it at the Wall Street Journal's CEO summit.
Honestly, it might be better if the bill doesn't pass. Because we've spent so much money, it's like the federal budget deficit is insane.
The Treasury says the U.S. government spent nearly $7 trillion this year, but it only collected $4 trillion in revenue. That's a $3 trillion difference.
If this was a company, it'd be a $3 trillion loss. So I don't know if we should be adding to that loss. That seems pretty crazy.
Democrat leaders in Congress are racing to pass Biden's roughly $2 trillion Build Back Better spending bill. The president saying Monday, the sooner they get it done, the better.
As early as we can get it, I want to get it done no matter how long it takes.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer aiming to pass it before Christmas. But the White House says that's not the drop-dead deadline.
We have many conversations and briefings between now and Christmas, so we're just encouraged by Leader Schumer's effort to move this forward, all of the work happening behind the scenes.
Despite the talk of getting it done by Christmas, Fox host Larry Kudlow said Monday it looks like the Senate's behind in its work, and they won't vote until after the holiday season.
Anyway, a lot of inside betting is saying the next key vote may not come until, get this, February 18th. Now, I've heard that from my pal Jim Lucier, but I'm also hearing it from others.
Meanwhile, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are taking aim at a contentious tax provision in the bill. Some Democrats from high-tax states like California, New York, and New Jersey want to repeal the Trump-era limit on state and local tax deductions, known as SALT. Right now, it's capped at $10,000. Republicans and progressives like Bernie Sanders say removing the cap would be a tax cut for millionaires and billionaires. Repealing the provision could be another roadblock to passing Biden's spending bill. Jessica Beatty, NTD News.
The U.S. trade deficit narrowed sharply in October as exports soared to a record high. The Commerce Department said today the trade gap plunged nearly 18%, the biggest percentage drop since April 2015. Exports rose more than 8% to an all-time high. Exports of industrial supplies, crude oil, and consumer goods like gem diamonds and motor vehicles all rose. Imports also went up, but only slightly, a 0.9% increase from the month before. Senator Marco Rubio is calling on Airbnb to stop listing some rental properties in China's Xinjiang region, especially those owned by a paramilitary group involved in China's human rights abuses. In a letter to Airbnb CEO, Rubio says the company listed some properties on land owned by XPCC, a state-owned group involved with the ongoing genocide of Uyghurs and other ethnic and religious groups in China. He says by maintaining these listings, Airbnb is unwittingly enriching this organization. It also risks violating U.S. sanction law. Lawmakers heard from experts today on how the Chinese regime uses economic coercion to get what it wants. NTD's Jim Battaglini takes a look.
The Congressional Executive Commission on China is looking into how the Chinese regime uses economic coercion to silence critics and achieve its political goals around the world. Experts testified at a hearing Tuesday. Senior fellow Zach Cooper from the American Enterprise Institute says China's economic coercion is becoming more frequent, more targeted, and more explicit.
We list at the moment 67 cases of economic coercion by China against companies and individuals and countries in the last decade, most in the last few years.
Senior Strategy and Research Associate Jenny Wang from the Human Rights Foundation says multinational companies pay huge amounts to appease the Chinese regime and secure access to the Chinese market.
In March 2021, Swedish apparel brand H&M faced a boycott in China for simply releasing a statement of concern about Uyghur forced labor. The company lost approximately $74 million in sales for the quarter ending May 31st this year.
So how can the U.S. curb the CCP's economic coercion? As a first step, Wang suggests approving legislation to establish the China Censorship Monitor and Action Group.
Congress should mandate greater transparency among American companies by introducing legislation that would require them to publicly report their respective exposures to China.
Bonnie Glaser from the German Marshall Fund of the United States suggests banding together with like-minded countries, among other things.
The most effective defense against trade coercion is to diversify trade relationships. The U.S. should identify sectors which are overly dependent on Chinese markets on both the export and import sides, and therefore vulnerable to coercive trade practices.
Glaser also says American companies should have plans in place to respond to potential Chinese coercion. Jim Battaglini, NTD News.
Wall Street's main indexes finished Tuesday's sessions with strong gains. The Dow rose 493 points, or 1.4%. The S&P 500 gained 95 points, or over 2%, while the Nasdaq gained 462 points, or 3%. And still to come, the United Arab Emirates is soon changing its weekend, and it'll move to a working days of 4.5 days. And whether it's owning your own private jet or just buying a one-way flight on popular ride-sharing apps, that and more after this short break.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. Cancel culture has not only affected myself and MyPillow, but millions of you out there. Before all this started, I had already written in my memoir, I dedicate this book to anyone that's looking for hope. Well, right now, we're all looking for hope. I believe that my story is going to bring inspiration and hope to everyone. By the time you're done reading my book, you will believe that with God, all things are possible. To thank you all for your support, I'm offering some of my best prices ever on MyPillow products, including this exclusive bundle. You get my book and these 5 MyPillows. They all have beautiful scenes and verses from the Bible, such as Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. This 6-pack bundle is regularly $219. Now it's just $99.98 and free shipping with your promo code. Go to mypillow.com and use the promo code on your screen or call the 1-800 number below. Thank you and God bless.
You are not just watching a performance. You are witnessing a culture reborn. Now, you'll see what the modern world has never seen. China, before communism. Shen Yun 2021, live on stage. Get tickets now at shenyun.com.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
A jury has ruled in favor of a computer scientist who claims he created Bitcoin. That means he gets to keep a large cache, but doesn't mean that he created Bitcoin. NTD's Phil Zoe has a story.
Craig Wright, computer scientist who claims he is the creator of Bitcoin, just won a court case in Miami, allowing him to keep a cache worth over $50 billion.
This case is absolutely wacky.
Craig won the case. It doesn't mean really that he's the creator of Bitcoin.
Crypto journalist David Gerard says Wright has failed to prove his case for years.
He couldn't do any of the stuff you'd expect Satoshi to be able to, like move bitcoins. He failed to repeatedly.
But Wright was ordered to pay $100 million to WNK Info Defense Research. That's a joint venture between him and David Kleinman, another computer expert who supposedly mined the first Bitcoin with Wright. It's over a breach in intellectual property rights.
If he wants to call it a victory, he can call it a victory. I would not call being down $100 million a victory myself.
Blockchain developer Daniel Logvin says even if Wright does control the $50 billion worth of Bitcoin, perhaps he got in early, but it doesn't mean he is the creator.
The complexity of the network was really not that high, so we could get a lot of Bitcoin back then.
Many experts say instead of being one person, the Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto could also be a group of coders and engineers working together. Phil Zoe, NTD News.
And Doordash is testing out a speedy grocery delivery service. The company has launched 10 to 15-minute deliveries in New York City. A nearby warehouse is storing the groceries, household items, and packaged restaurant products. Doordash hired 60 new people for the service. Speedy grocery delivery is a growing trend in major cities, but New York bodega owners are already pushing back on it, worried it will edge out their businesses. Right now, speedy grocery delivery is only available in New York, but DoorDash hopes to add more locations in the future. The United Arab Emirates is moving its weekend. Friday is a day off in many Muslim-majority countries, but people in the UAE will soon get Saturday and Sunday off instead of Friday and Saturday. The change will take effect from the start of next year. The shift aims to better align its economy with global markets and boost tourism. The UAE working week will now be just 4.5 days long, running from Monday morning until 12 noon on Friday before Muslim prayers. It's that the longer weekend could also improve employees' work-life balance. Over the past year, the UAE has taken measures to make its economy more attractive to foreign investment and talent to compete with Saudi Arabia. And private jet sharing is getting so popular, even billionaires who usually charter an entire airplane are also joining the program. NTD's Phil Zhou finds out why.
Uber-style private jet sharing is getting more and more popular.
This is a much different flying experience with much more included than you would have on a basic economy fare package in commercial.
Travel expert Jen Ruiz says some private flights are becoming more affordable.
So now we have airlines that are offering this semi-private experiences with rates starting as low as $129. So it can be really, really affordable for people that want to fly.
Doug Gallen is editor-in-chief at Private Jet Card Comparisons. He oversees offers from over 200 private jet companies.
Private aviation is seeing record demand at all levels.
He says one reason is because of the CCP virus pandemic.
Private aviation has less than 20 touch points compared to over 700 if you're flying with the airlines when you go through the terminal.
Gallen says airports were slow to open up. Connection flights were delayed and direct flights were less frequent.
They found that those trips that they were doing in 1 or 2 days, all of a sudden it was taking 2 or 3 days.
Add to that climate shaming, when environmental activists and even shareholders want execs at large companies to cut off the use of large private planes. Some billionaires are turning to private jet sharing.
It's a way to fly under the radar, but still fly with that similar level that you want to be in.
Phil Zhou, NTD News.
How about a stay in the Grinch's cave high above Whoville this holiday season? Vacation rental management platform Vacasa is teaming up with Dr. Seuss Enterprises to bring you the ultimate holiday getaway. It's a recreation of the lair belonging to the Grinch from How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Located on a remote property outside of Boulder, Utah, it is a massive 5,700 square feet. Each room is decorated just as the Grinch himself would like. It even has a music room, complete with the Grinch's organ and his dog Max's drum set. The kitchen is stocked with essentials like Who pudding and Who hash. And in true Grinch fashion, there is no internet connection or TV. Bookings are open for limited stays from December 13th through 23rd. The rental is available from $19.57 per night to honor the book's original release in 1957. And going to Finland, tourism operators in Lapland fear the Omicron variant could hurt another Christmas season. The industry is taking each day as it comes. For some of the smaller businesses, this season's success is a make or break scenario. NTD's Eddie Aitken reports.
The pandemic and subsequent lockdowns and travel restrictions hit Finnish Lapland's tourism industry hard. After hoping for a return to normality, airlines and tourism operators fear the Omicron variant could have a negative impact on this year's Christmas season.
It's true that we were bouncing and we were really hoping to recover by the end of the year. And we were, for example, our winter program is 182 destinations this winter. So that means we are resuming the full network. Now there is uncertainty, but I would say the situation is totally different compared to the beginning of the crisis. A lot of people are vaccinated. So I really believe that the travel will still be possible. We will just adapt like we have adapted during the first part of the crisis.
According to tourist board Visit Rovaniemi, 61,000 tourists visited the city in December 2019, over 51,000 from overseas. But last year saw a drop of 82%, only 11,000, with 1,100 from abroad. Accommodation sales also dropped by 90% in December 2020. Some didn't bother opening at all, including the nearby Santa Park theme park, built in an old air raid shelter.
Basically March, April, we decided that we're going to be closing the cavern for the summer and see how it goes. Then in the autumn time, we came in the conclusion there's no point for opening the Christmas, so we missed last Christmas season totally. We tried to have the hotel open, but we also gave up on that one. So basically, Santa Park has been closed for 2 years, hotel for 1 year, over 1 year, but now we're back.
As of July 2021, travellers can enter Finland if they have valid proof of full vaccination against COVID-19. Due to the Omicron variant, travelers who have visited some African countries in the last 14 days are not allowed entry. For many small operators, the new variant and potential restrictions pose a massive threat.
For many smaller companies, this winter is the make it or break it. If this winter doesn't happen, then they will go out of business.
For now, tourists are making the trip, relieved to have made it on their dream winter getaway.
We had some concerns about getting back into the U.S. and the testing requirements and everything, and I know now they've changed it. We have to take the test 1 day prior. But I think we're prepared and we've done our research, so we've been enjoying our trip without too much concern.
As tourists continue to arrive in Rovaniemi, operators know further travel restrictions could shatter their dream Christmas holiday. Eddie Aitken, NTD News.
Ringing their bells and singing carols, a group of Germans dressed as Santas gathered in Berlin Sunday. They're keen to spread joy and practice their ho-ho-hos despite virus restrictions. NTD's Andrew Thomas has the details.
Most years, several hundred Rent-A-Santas in Germany rent themselves out over Christmas. They meet at the beginning of the Christmas season, but this year, just a few got together.
Es ist genauso blöd wie letztes Jahr natürlich.
It's just as difficult as last year, of course, but we try to bring a bit of normality to the families. Last year we worked with a hygiene concept, and we will do the same this year. This year we are only allowing participants who are vaccinated. We do that to protect the families, but also ourselves.
The Santas and Christmas Angels can be booked for company events, shopping malls, restaurants, and kindergartens. They can also be hired to visit families on Christmas Eve.
I have been doing my job as a Santa for 26 years, but this year is the first for my angel. This is a wonderful angel, a fabulous young lady who will accompany me here and help me out a bit. We get really happy when the children arrive.
Last year, they all wore face masks, kept their distance, and avoided singing carols. This year, they have to be vaccinated to give out presents to the children.
We have things for them like soft toys, and my angel also has little treats for the children. And we look forward to it when we can make the children happy. And this also happens during the Christmas season, when we visit families, kindergartens, orphanages, everything that is offered. And then, of course, Christmas Eve, when we are with the families.
Germany recorded 44,400 new CCP virus cases on Sunday, according to the Robert Koch Institute for Infectious Diseases. More than 100,000 Germans have died with the virus. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
And that's the latest business updates for today. You can catch NTD Evening News with Stephanie Cox at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.